Yeah. So we're gonna start from the basics, where roofing is concerned. I start from everything concerning roof, from the simple things, types of roof, as long as a pitch roof, the different types, materials used, different shapes, go to more technical things like reading the roof framing plan. Now, we basically have several types of roof, right? But mostly we are focused on residential roof. Residential meaning on a house or smaller buildings, not commercial. So we're focused on roof shapes, roof types, architectural roof materials, roofs as sustainable spaces, Energy Star roof system, pitch roof trusses, roof rafters, and roof pitch. So after this, you're supposed to get familiar now with some of these terms. Alright, so you have different shape of roofs, right? The roof protect the building and the occupants from wind, the cold, sun, heat, dust, etc. The roof come in a many different shape. Many of them, you have the most common type are usually like gable, you have the hip end, and then you probably have the flat roof and the shed or lean-to. Separate and apart from that, you have various variations of them. So this is shed roof or lean-to, where you know it's just fancy and have a little more aesthetic appeal to it because architectural features. But it's the same thing as a lean-to or a one-sided roof. Just a gable end and a gable a hip end, but a kind of low and very sprawling hip end here, so as well octagonal hip roof here, and this looks like a architectural roof. So the major types of roof now that we have the major different shapes, and these are diagrams representing the shapes and what they're called. So when it lean to one side like that, we call it a lean-to or shed roof. This one here is a gable roof. This is what we call the gable end. When the roof just come down like that, gable roof. The hip roof is the only difference between the hip roof and the gable is that the hip roof doesn't have the gable end. Instead, it has a chamfer there, like it make a triangle cut inwards and tilt towards the ridge of the roof. So this is a hip roof. These three types of roof are the most common and most popular types in Jamaica. Then you have the gable roof with a dormer. The dormer is the window thing that we usually put on top of the roof. We don't really find that in Jamaica very often, but most time when I travel overseas, houses have these for ventilation, light, and for aesthetic purposes. Aesthetic meaning for outside beauty or visual, make it appealing. This is a flat roof, not as like almost like a slab, but the only thing you use wood to make it. And even though it's a flat, it's not necessarily 100% flat. Usually you have a little gradient on a little pitch, so that means the water can run off. This is a gambrel. Now these roofs are usually used in Jamaica. When I watch show you see them in barns like farmhouses and things like that. It's a gambrel roof. This is a gable with valley, where two roofs meet together, them form what we call a valley. And here so is the valley. Right in here would be the valley. So it's gable and valley. And the same thing for the hip roof. When the hip roof meet, two roofs meet each other, we call it a hip and valley. So hip end plus the valley. So what makes this a hip is just this part of the end here. And what makes this a gable is the end here. So gable end, hip end. Right in here is the valley, here is the valley. So common residential roofing materials. So common materials we use for cover the roof now would be standing seam metal. You have clay cement or clay tiles. You have asphalt shingle. You have cedar or wood. You have slate. These are some of my major type of material we use to cover roof in Jamaica. So a roof as a sustainable space. Nowadays people are trying to go sustainable, meaning they are trying to make where you live be as comfortable and as energy efficient as possible and as helpful to your environment as possible. So many people nowadays use them roof for other things than just cover the building, but for natural lighting, for additional space, other things like that, for recreation. The natural light creates a pleasant space for occupants and requires less energy for lighting. So because the window them in a roof, and need no heap of light in nice space. That's where sustainable come from. I use the sun to create energy for the building and use as much natural lighting as possible. So you have bigger windows for your house rather than smaller windows. Energy Star roofing systems. Now, Energy Star refers to energy conservation and sustainability and saving money, basically. So you install on top of your roof solar panels or reflective roof to reduce the amount of energy or heat that comes and penetrate the building. Now, this is what usually cause most people to run up and down when it comes to roof. If understand how to pitch the roof or how to build the roof, right? So the roof pitch is basically the steepness or the slant of the roof, right? And the roof pitch is determined by rise over run. So this is like a mathematics in some sense. So rise mean the height and the run mean the width. So from the one belt beam to the next belt beam would be the run, and the rise would be from the belt beam, top of the belt beam, all the way up to the top of the roof. So from here, so finish ceiling to up here, so is rise. Run is from here to here. And it says, for example, a 7/12 or 7/12 or 7/12, however you want to say it. So this is like a fraction. 7/12, 7/12, or 7/12. So a 7/12 pronounced 7/12 pitch means that the roof rises 7 inches for every 12 inches horizontally. So for example, when I say the pitch of the roof is 7/12s or 9/10 or whatever the pitch is given as, right? It is usually meaning that the height of the roof, every time you go up 7 inches, come like stepping. Every time you go up a 7 inches height, you have to go across 12 inches. So that's how you get the height. So basically, every 12 inches where you go across, you have to go up 7 inches. So if you go across 24 inches, it means you have to go up 14 inches. If you go across 12 trees or 36 inches, you have to go up 21 inches. So that's how the rise, you calculate the rise. Now this is a given. Usually when you build a roof, you are given what the pitch should be. Many times, if people don't build off a plan, you're not going to get no pitch. So then you have to decide what angle you're going to put the roof on. But most people just use 5 or 6 feet high, right? Depending on how big the roof is. Now if you draft one plan, usually the plan tell you what degree, what angle it would be on. So sometimes instead of having 7/12, you might put 30 degrees or 45 degrees. Pitch means that the roof rises 7 inches for every 12 inches horizontally. Alright, roof trusses. Some roof, especially in America, in place, they build roof with truss. So instead of regular rafter, them have built truss and then put them down in rows, and then on top of it, then put some lat and batten it off. Rafters. So rafters are these members of the roof that comes down like that. Call them the rafters. So rafters are an alternative to truss for support, roof support. Rafters are roof beams that slope from the ridge beam to the top of the wall. So its rafters are sloping like this. So these are the rafters coming from the ridge beam, which is the middle piece up here. So the ridge beam coming all the way down to the top of the wall. These are basically braces. We call them collar tie. So these are collar ties. Rafter, collar tie, and the ridge beam run in the middle. So right in the middle, they call it ridge. And this is basically a schematic diagram of this, right? So this, you just take out it, cut it flat, and look on it flat. And this is a rafter, the ridge in the middle here, so the ridge in the middle here, so rafter. So you're after here, so and here. So the color tie here and here would be your wall plate, meaning wall plate at the board we put on top of the wall, put the rafter on top of it. Pitch roofs. Most pitch roof now, when you make them, when you put up your wall plate, then put on your rafter and set up a roof, you usually cover it with ply if you use asphalt shingle. But let's say I use some kind of clay tiles or metal sheet, metal shingles or zinc or anything like that, you generally use button. Or if you put on cedar shingle, you use 2-inch buttons or lat some cases. Alright, some different type of roof now. It's a flat roof. Because I can't see no go up in the air no time at all, it's just flat. This is a shed roof or lean-to, we call that. This is a gable roof. See gable end, so gable roof. And see it come in a different design. So one gable here, one here, one here. This is a hip roof. Hip end, see, notice the hip end. If you look here, so you see a gable end. Here, so you see a hip end. And here, so you see a shed or a lean-to. So sometimes on a building you will find several different type of roof incorporated. So you have a gable end over the porch here, so a hip on top of the part of the building here, so. And this look like a gable if you look at it good. But we can't see all that, so we can't tell. This is basically a dormer. See dormer, the window dimmer. So this gable end here, so this look like a gable as well, and then you have some dormers on it. So these are windows in top of the roof, you call them dormers. Right, as I tell you, so the mansard roof now. The mansard roof is usually used on farmhouses or barns. Moving on. Next one. So framing a roof now in an architectural drawing, where I get closer and closer to how you read the actual drawing on paper. Now the drawing, you have to understand that the drawing is basically flat. So like how the picture you have a little 3-dimensional height, length and width on it, you can see it and understand it with a drawing and go so easy to interpret because you're basically standing above it, like you turn up over it and look down. So looking down at it, that's why I call it plan, because looking down at something is called bird eye view or plan. So the term plan comes from looking down at something and you look at it. When you look down at anything that is 3-dimensional, you go see it as flat. So you basically have to go work from that. So you put all your drawing them together. The flat drawing, which is the roof plan, plus the elevations to make you have an understanding of what the building will look like. Now, it says, define ridge board, rafter, hip, valley, sheeting, fascia, soffit, dormer, and pitch. Label and identify the parts of the roof. Now, on this here, based on what we got through a while ago, you can tell that this is basically a shed that comes out of a hip end. So hip end here, ridge is the top, the point or the peak of the roof, the ridge, then this is labeling the cripple jack here, meaning a jack rafter them. This is a hip rafter right here. So the dormer window is here, right? On top of the wall, you would have the wall plate running on there where the rafter them respond. These you call a common rafter. The one that run from the ridge board come all the way down to the wall plate, you call them common rafter. This one in here is your valley rafter, because it make the valley in the center. And then these will run on the hip rafter, you call them the hip jack or jack rafter. Them down here. Alright, parts of the roof. First part, the ridge board. The ridge board are basically the peak where all of the rafter them go meet in. So you call that the ridge board or the ridge beam. This is the ridge board. Ridge board at the peak where all of the rafter them go meet on. Or this is one ridge beam. So it depends on the type of roof you build. It can come in a different patterns or different way. But up in at the peak of the roof, so you call that the ridge. So a ridge is a horizontal member of the roof frame, the point at which all the rafters are attached. Transfer the load of the roof through the rafters to the wall below. So the ridge basically transfer the load from the wind or from above of the roof going all the way down to the rafter, to the walls. Ridge beam sits below the rafters supported by a lally column. So this basically is a column holding up the ridge. But in most roofs, we don't have no column to hold up the ridge because basically the rafter them do that itself. For a domestic roof, you wouldn't necessarily need a big ridge like this for residential. But for commercial now, if I make a big it's a big wide opening, then you probably need to support it. Ridge board versus beam. So the ridge board is this. With the rafter them go up, I mean, perfectly on it. This is the roof where we see almost every day. Used to. Now when you use a ridge beam, basically the rafter them rest on top of it. When you use a ridge board, the rafter them rest on the side of it. Rafters. Now rafters extend from the ridge beam down to the top plate of the wall and transfer the roof load or the weight of the roof in the process down to the walls. Rafters give the roof the shape and this definition. So any shape the roof have is the shape of the rafter them in. Because the rafter them basically tell you if a hip roof or a gable roof. And this basically, based on looking at this, you can tell that it's a gable roof because of the gable end we have right here. So now you have the ridge here, you have these rafters. All of these would be considered common rafters. This, where the rafter them respond, is called the wall plate. Right? So fascia now. Fascia and soffit. This is basically what we call the eave. The fascia and soffit make up part of the total thing or refer to as the eave of the roof. So the fascia basically hides the end of the rafter, protects from weather and pest. Nailable surface for gutters. So your fascia is the board here right at the end of the roof. So anyway the rafter tail them go, you cover it with one thin piece of 1x8 or 1x6 depending on the size of the rafter we use. This would be your fascia board. We run along the edge of it. And the fascia board I use to put on your guttering pan. So it usually attach the guttering to. And the soffit basically is this. The ceiling of the underside of the roof. So this is your wall and the roof rafter come over the wall like this. And this is how you have on the outside of the building to prevent so water come running from off the roof, boom, run off, drop this up. So here's under the eave. Now the eave here is closed. Now when you close it up by sealing it round and round so no rat bat can't come up on the building or no insect and everything there, you call that soffit. Right? Now this is a vented steel soffit panel. So it simply means them put some brackets there and have some steel panel with some hole in it for air pass through. So ventilation, vented mean you have hole in it for air pass through. So fascia, the end board, and then the soffit are the here, so close here, when I close here. All of this together is referred to as the eave. The gable roof. So here would be a eave. Anything with overhang half of the building. So building stop here, over here is the eave. And then when I close this up to the wall, yes, you call it a soffit. Right here, so you'd have the fascia board running along the edge of the rafter them. So fascia board, right at the edge. Eaves overhang. As we just tell you, eave is the overhang. Whatever overhang over the building. And then gable and gable end is the wall of this here. So the barge board now is basically like a fascia board but not on the edge of the rafter them but beside or in line with the rafter them. So this would be a barge board. So the barge board form the gable end and all gable roof have the barge board. Alright, a gable roof is when all rafters extend downwards from the ridge board or beam. No hip or valleys. And a default roof in ArchiCAD. So in most drawing softwares, this roof come default. It and pitch, gable and My next popular type of roof we'll start about. Gable and hip roof. So hip and gable roof are usually the most common type of roof for any architect or person who do drawing go to, because them come as default in them drawing software where you don't have to do too much work to draw them again because the software draw them already. Hip roof. Now separate from gable roof where stop straight up, hip roof have a little chamfer on the edge of it, right? So hip roof have some elements that a gable roof don't have, such as the hip rafters. Now, a hip is a type of roof where all the sides slope downwards to the walls, right? So the hip roof, all of the sides them, this one slope down to the wall, this one slope up, so all of the sides them have a little triangle sloping going down. When you build a hip roof now, you build it just like a gable. You raise up your ridge board first, connect your common rafter them, and after you connect common rafter, you connect your hip rafter. Alright, so you have two hip rafter, one, two hip rafter. You have a next two hip rafter where it's a hip rafter and hip rafter. And then you connect this is your main common rafter. We call this the jack rafter, right? The main jack rafter. But in this case, like them have different names for it. Again, just it's not like a fixed thing where you just say boom. Every person who teaches this have a different name for this one. Here, so some people call it king rafter, jack rafter. We hear them call it a common rafter, mainly because it starts from the ridge coming all the way down. If you notice, all of them other common rafter them start from the ridge board coming all the way down. But them one who cut little shorter because of the hip rafter, we call them jack rafters as well. But this sometimes is called king jack, because when I learned this at school, king jack them call it, right? But it's also a common rafter. Why? Because it spans the full length of the roof, like these ones. So gable roof would have a common rafter running from here to here, here to here, here to here, coming all the way down. But a hip roof now, only where the peak of the roof is, you have common rafters, and then the rest would be jack rafter. And this is a hip rafter. So jack rafter connect from the fascia board to the hip rafter, or from the wall plate to the hip rafter. Alright. So roof with valley now. The valley roof is a roof design that creates a V shape, often seen on complex roof shapes. Usually has a metal valley exposed. So the valley is usually a low line area or V shape. So this right here would be the valley where the two roofs meet. So anytime you have a valley design, it's basically a complex roof. When you connect like a building that shape different from just a box. When a building is a box, you can just create a simple roof. But when you have a complex building, you have a complex roof. So this is the valley here. And you see the valley would have the rafters coming. Instead of coming straight down like this, them that come join on the valley rafter. And this is a form of valley. So this gable end, and this is a valley. So you call this a gable and valley roof. So if we can name the parts them again, your rafters, common rafters, your ridge board, common rafter, common rafter, common rafter, and this is your valley rafter. A dormer. As we explained before, the dormer is a window in a roof. So you can see how you make the dormer. You just cut out a part in your common rafter them. Put a board, cross board there for the width of the window, then build it up like that. And you have a little valley right here, so which constitute the ridge for the dormer. So the dormer is like a small roof inside of a roof. You understand? We have just for the purpose of building a window. So roof windows are called dormers. A dormer is a roof structure that is used to increase the livable area in a home. Alright, used in lofts and spaces where the roof pitch is steep, leaving little room. Often contains a window to allow natural lighting. So you put dormers in, like, that's the reason why I mostly foreign houses is that not because them usually have attic. Like they open the uppermost part of the roof, you usually have a one room or a little storage area where you store things, and they put a window in there for more light coming. Sheathing. Sheathing are basically what we call sacking or ply, or you use cover up the raft of them. But you only use sheathing when you put on asphalt shingle or certain type of roof covering. When you use zinc or panel or asphalt, not asphalt shingle, if you use panels like metal sheet panels, and if you use standing seam zinc or the regular zinc them where everybody else have on, or if you use wood shingle like cedar wood shingle, then you'd use your button board them, batter board them or your button, and then on top of that you nail the shingles them. But for asphalt shingle, you'd use ply, cover them, and then on top of that you lay the asphalt shingle. Now this is what we call sheathing. Sheathing is a layer of plywood or OSB. OSB or something board. Something board. OSB. No, that no. Look it up. OSB board. Yeah, so OSB are this bagasse board basically we call it. Let me see what I write name for it. Oriented strand board. So OSB stands for OSB, oriented strand board, or bagasse board we call it in Jamaica. So sheathing is a layer of plywood or OSB that covers and protects the structure, creates a nailable surface for roofing material, and prevents shear force. So shear force basically means it prevents the raft of them from moving away from each other. So you keep them together. Like you nail through them in each rafter. So you basically keep the roof together. Roof pitch. The roof pitch is the numerical measure of how steep or shallow a roof is. So the pitch depends on how steep or how low the roof is or how high it is. So the vertical rise over horizontal run. So height over width or length, right? So that's what the pitch represents. In the US, it is defined by the rise in inches to a 12-inch run. So in the US, them refer to because 12 inches is 1 foot, right? So them refer to the pitch of the roof as how much inch worth of height over a 12-inch length. So let's say 12 inch or 1 foot. So if every 1 foot where you go, so how much inches you go up, right? So that's how they determine the pitch. So let's say the pitch of is 3 to 12, right? So every 1 foot you go, so you have to carry up this 3 inches. So for example, this is basically how you find out the length of the rafter, because you know, say if the roof from here to here so is, let's say 5 foot, right? So if from the here to the center of the roof is 5 foot, but you know how long this be. You go add, say boy, alright, how high this go be now is basically 5 foot. I mean I go up 3 inches for every 5 foot. So 5 trees, 15. So if you go up this so go be 15 inches. So for the whole 5 foot of me here, so I go up 15 inches. Because every 1 foot I go up 3 inches. So I go up 2 foot, I go up 6 inches. I go up 3 foot, I go. So that's how you understand how it's mathematics basically. Them have other ways where you can use your speed square or your builder square. But me not so versed, I understand it, but me not so versed, me more familiar with the mathematical way, because when you do a drawing, you have to know the maths of it and the theory rather than the actual building practical part. So 4 to 12, 9 over 12 are the most common pitches. So what I must say is 4/12 or quarter, because 4 over 12 is basically 1 over 3, and 9 over 12 is basically 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4. Yeah, because all of them divisible by 3. So 4 over 12 or 4/12 through 9/12 are the most common pitches. So you can have 4/12, 5/12, 6/12, 7/12, 8/12 to 9/12. So between 4 and 9 you usually have as the most common pitch. So this me think start about 412 is quarter. So quarter is 25 degrees, and then 3/4 would be 75. So between 25 degrees and 75 degrees, roof usually go. Usually not past 75 degrees. Because when I do 4 divided by 12, or 12 divided by 4, you'd get 3. So therefore it will be 1/3 or 1/3. Right? And when I said so, I said 9/12, 12 divided by 9, you'd get, they were divided by 3, so 3 into 9 goes 3 times 3 into 12 goes 3 into 12 goes 4 times. So that would be 1/4 or quarter. 1/4 or quarter. Three-quarter. This is a 3/4. Don't you know me? I say kind of a little bit confused now. Alright. What may I try to explain is that if you use a calculator and do 12 divided by 4, you get 3. So that would be 1/3. And 1/3 of 100 would be 30. So that's 30 degrees. If I do this and try to convert it by, you'll get 3 into 9 goes 3 times, and 3 into 12 goes 4 times. So it's going to be short of 4 or 3/4, which is 75. So it's 30 degrees to 75 degrees for roof pitch. Now, these are the pitch or the slope of the roof. So it's called pitch or slope. So when somebody says pitch, they must basically talk about the slope or the incline of the roof. So roof framing plan now. The roof framing plan details the rafters and the spacing of the roof. So when you say a roof framing plan, you're basically looking at the same features when a roof have, same features, but you look from above it downwards, and them not draw it exactly like how you're looking at real life. They probably just use lines to represent the rafter them. So looking down at this, you can basically tell the feature of the roof. So the wall is going right around, wall of the building under the roof, or the wall plate, and then you have the roof layout, right? The measurement of each. So 24 inches is equal to 2 foot, so them place them 2 foot apart. So every rafter is 2 foot apart. You can tell. So the run here, or the width from the end of the building to the middle of the building would be 6 foot. So you know, so 6 foot here, so and 6 foot over here, so right? So see them refer to this one now as king or end king common. So king common rafter, this them call this sometimes, or king. So the king rafter. Alright, so you have a run here, so 6 foot, and 6 foot over here, so that means that the building is 12 foot wide by 24 foot. Right? Now the run also from here to here would be 6 foot. So basically, when you build up the roof here now, you have to measure from end to the center and from end to 6 foot, and then find a center point here and put up some vertical to get a ridge board. And when I get a ridge board, you just connect them here. And notice them depend on a 45-degree angle. So you use a bevel or a square to get the angle, and then put up a verticals them. But you'll get it now easily as long as you rise up your ridge board in the center, and then you put up your king command, then automatically this from the edge of the building to this go give you 45 degrees. So you get the roof easy. So start with your ridge board, your command after them, and then a king command, and then you get this. But the roof framing plan gives you all the information you need to build the roof, and this is where you look on to build the roof. So all the information and measurement for the roof is here. So this tell you the width of the building, 12 foot. This tell you to the center of the roof, where I give you 6 foot. Tell you what the measurement from here, so to the center point, 6 foot. And it label the pieces out there, parts of the roof. So jack rafters them. It also tells you that the 2x4 walls below. So it simply means that on top of the wall, them go right around the building, you have a 2x4 as a wall plate. It tells you the common rafters and label the rest of them. So this is generally referred to as plan as the roof framing plan. Now these are the simplest one you'll ever see. Most times they're more complicated than this and have more information. So but this is the basic information that you need to build a roof. The measurement, length by the width. and understand what these represent. So this are your hip rafter, these are your king common rafter, these are your jack rafters, and these are your common rafters, right? And them call them one at the end the side king common, and this are your end king common. Note, the ridge board and hip rafters are 2x8 one amount spruce pine fir mix SPF stress rated. All the other roof members are 2x6 SPF. Numbers 2 are better. So basically, them also tell you, basically, like in this, most time when I do a roof plan, but I say, I tell you what size this will be, what size your wall plate be. So that's how you can create an estimate or tell people what them to buy. Cause looking at this now, I'm going to tell you what to buy and I just give you a measurement and tell you how to build it. But if you know what to buy, you have to read the notes them what on the plan. And what the architect or whoever they build the roof tell us to build. So usually a ridge board wider than your common rafter them. And your wall plate usually 6 inches to cover the wall. So your ridge board is on the ridge board and hip rafter them. So these, them one your hip rafter and the ridge board. This are usually wider. So if you use 2x6 for your regular rafter them, you have to use 2x8 for them main one here. And if you use 2x4 for them, you use 2x6 for them one here. Now if you have a gable roof, because this is a hip roof, you know, but if you have a gable roof, this is what it will look like. I know say from sideways you probably look on it like a partition wall, but if you look on it like it's a roof, you look down, this is a ridge board, center of the roof, the wall plate, them you go right around, and this is a rafter, but up here common rafter. Here so is what you call the barge board. So it's not necessarily a rafter, because the rafter end at the wall, where you have a little piece to extend out for make water not come down upon the building exactly, to create an overhang, and you connect some strut on it to connect them. And this is your barge board. And then you connect your fascia board at the end of the rafter them, like that. So this is one side of the roof and this is the next side, looking down from above. So it's all about perspective, looking at it from above. Like this same roof here, so see it here in person. So you look down from above, this is what you will see. Your barge board there, with your strut them, your fascia board here, so, and your rafter, common rafter them, your ridge board. So if you label this now, 2 with a pine upon your rafter, 10 a pine upon your wall plate, 3 a pine upon the wall plate again, 9 up, so it's hard to see, so what I do some see right here, so look like wall plate. 7, that 7, that's not part of the roof, that's just something hold up the roof. 6 are your barge board, 9 are your common rafter, 1 are your ridge board. So this is your gable roof, hip and valley now. Looking down from above, this is what a hip and valley look like. The valley rafter them here. So the rafter them in the valley is called the valley rafter. And them connect like this. And they are placed 2 feet apart. These are your main rafters, hip. Notice them darker. So them first you put up because them are your main rafter. See your ridge board, hip, king end, hip. Then you have hip rafter, valley rafter. Because anywhere two roof meet, usually have valley. And all of these line represent the rafter them. So this is how you frame of a valley. So the gable end meet and next gable end, and it cause a valley in here. So notice how them board are wide and them one are not so wide. So them use, if this has 2x8, them use 2x10 here. So this look like 2x, let me say 2x8. This look like 2x8, so about 2x12 this basically. So and this is the valley meeting from up here coming down, and then just rafter them come meet on the valley rafter. So all of this is what you refer to as your valley rafters, because them touch exactly on the valley. hip roof framing plan. So this is your hip roof again. Hip rafter, king common rafter, king end common rafter, hip rafter, fascia board going right around, and your common rafters. Your jack rafters, the little one here. And this same roof right here, so we look on, this is what it look like in 3 dimensions. Now, if you can visualize it and picture it and actually keep that in your brain for know, say, understand what the roof look like and understand, say, when you look, because I understand, say, from a visualizing perspective, this might easier for people interpret and say, oh, this is what it is. But you have to understand that this is the same exact thing as this. It's just that, yeah, this is like a pictorial or picture looking one, and this is schematic we use for do design drafting. So this is more accurate than this. This only give you a visual representation of what it look like, but this tell you exactly how to build it because it have measurement on it and specifications usually. So this same roof, your hip roof here, so with all your rafter them here. So see your hip rafter, your jack rafters, common rafters. And going back into different type of roof, you have a whole heap of different type of roof, but you have some specific types that are popular. So you have lean-to, this one you call skillion because it go on each other, skillion and lean-to. Then you have open gable, and you have box gable because them close up here. So when the roof look like that, them call it open gable, box gable, dormer, hip roof, hip and valley, gambrel, mansard, butterfly, intersecting, overlaid hip. So this have a gable on it plus a hip at the end. So you call that hip and gable said way. You call this Dutch gable because a little piece we have in here. So up you go uptown you will see roof like this. Dutch gable. You have hexagonal gazebo, jerking head because it chop off piece like this. So flat, cross hip, M shape, salt box. Salt box are like one short side and one long side. So also if you go up Beverly Hills, you will see most of them different type of hill upon Beverly Hills because usually a regular poor man not really, experiment with the house. He just do I know. While rich people pay for design them type of roof here. Alright. So that's it for the first video. I'll go into some mechanics video, but I have to take a look at it first. That's it for this one. Next time we're going to revision for understanding the roof framing plan. And then we'll start looking for some roof plan, some actual roof plan. Alright, so we are going to revise what we just got through a while ago. Understanding the roof plan. So lesson 2. So if I open this one first, watch the first one. Lesson 1 first, and then we'll come to this. So this is basically going back through everything we just got through a while ago. And then just before we go into understanding going to the real drawing of the roof plan, the plan. So the roof framing plan, right? Roof framing is one of those carpenter skills that appears quite complicated, and indeed, some roof designs are difficult. Roofs are basically 5 types: shed, gable, hip, gambrel, and mansard. Another common design is the northeast. In the northeast is the salt box. So basically, when you go Canada and places like that, Norway, Netherlands, places like that, you'll find salt box, which is a gable roof with one longer side. So the 5 major types is the gable roof, the gambrel, mansard, shed roof or lean-to, hip roof, and flat roof. But most roof where you go build, you will find that they are gable or hip. Once in a while you will find a little shed, but people don't like shed because them say a poor people roof. And then flat roof, some cases, but usually people just concrete them flat roof instead of build it out of board. And this very rarely, but it exists in some places. Alright, types of roof design. it can expand into other types, such as a lot more breakdown or mixture, you understand? So this basically, so you can take a little while and look through them. This is salt box. The salt box is a gable roof, but one side just tall and one side short. Salt box. Reason why them call it salt box is because the shape like the old time salt box them, but they usually have in America. But we sell salt, and that's how we know about that. Alright. Picture representation of the various types of roof now. Shed or lean-to. Gable, mansard, gambrel, combination roof because it have a little bit of flat pan here and little pitch. Hip, butterfly, flat. Going down again. Cross gable, meaning it have the corner bend come round to have a valley. I call this valley, gable with valley, or cross gable roof. So you see, you don't really have one fixed name for it, you know, as long as you understand that this is a gable end and it's a gable roof and a valley. You call it gable and valley. Or some people say cross gable roof. Cross hip. So this is a hip and a valley, but them say cross hip. See? You have a hip roof, mansard ugly roof, you have salt box, you have pyramid roof. That's when everything meets in a one point and not a ridge board. Just have a little octagonal piece of 4x4 or 6x6 up in a make like piece. But that's still hip roof because you have a hip in them. You just not a ridge. You have traditional roof. Traditional roof can be divided into three main types: single roof, double roof, and truss roof. So single roof, double roof, and truss roof. So this is a single roof because the span probably not wide. So you necessarily need no strengthened beam on there. So just a ridge and the rafter, which is the regular roof that we build. It's a double roof, meaning if the roof span wide like a wide building cover, you usually have a second piece in the middle for support. And you have truss for very wide like for warehouse or things like that. But people usually use metal, not wood. But Americans especially use wood because it's cheap for them. Because them have a lot of forest and them produce wood, so them usually use this type of roof enough. And the gang nail plate them for nail it up. Roof calculation. So when you're calculating this height of a roof and things like that, you usually have to understand what pitches are. So pitch are the slope or the steepness, span are the width from one wall to the next wall, and the rise is the height. When setting out a roof, there are certain essential factors that must be considered. These are roof span. This is the distance across the roof and measured to the outer edges of the wall plates. So you measure from the end of the outside roof, the wall plate, the board we put on top of the wall. You measure it from the end of the roof, the board there, to the end of the next board on the next side. Roof calculation continued. So your roof height or rise. This is the vertical height of the roof at its highest point and is measured from the top of the wall plate. So the wall plate at the board on top of the wall, as we say. So from top of the wall plate to the intersection of the rafters at the top of the roof. So anywhere the peak of the roof there, where the point of the roof, the tip of the roof, that's where you measure it to. So the height goes to the peak of the roof. When measuring rafters, the length is taken as a straight line running through the center of the rafter. So the measurement for your rafter them taken from center to center. So from center one rafter to center next one rafter is the width from rafter to rafter, which is usually 2 feet or 24 inches. Roof pitch. This is the angle or slope of the roof and can be expressed in degrees or as a fraction or ratio found by dividing the rise by the span. So in our previous video when I talked about 3 into 12 or 3 over 12, same thing. So you can either express it as a degrees, like say 30 degree slope or 45 degree slope, or you can express it as a fraction. Americans express it as a fraction: 7 over 12, 9 over 12, 3 over 12. But in Jamaica, we generally use degrees: 20 degrees pitch, 10 degrees pitch, 45 degrees pitch. Yeah. So you can basically use a square or a bevel and measure it. Example. Read that first. Ratio of 1, read 30. Okay. Example. If a roof has a span of 6 feet and a rise of 3 feet, then the pitch would be 3 over 6. Did me? Alright, we can work that out to 3 into 3 one time, 3 into 6 two times. So half. And half is basically 45 degrees. Because when it comes to angles, 90 degrees is the vertical. 90 degrees is basically this right here. The angle here is 90 degrees. So half of 90 is 45. So half would be 45 degrees. So 1/3 of 90 would be 1 over 3. And 3 into 90 is 30. So it would be 30 degrees. So if we have 1 over 3, it would be 30 degrees. Since the rise is half the span, the angle of the roof would be 45 degrees. So, we don't know exactly how if we make you understand this if you don't understand it already. Cause we don't know what level you understand or what how vast are you in terms of building roofs, right? But me used to have little challenges in figuring this out till I understand the maths of it. So basically the total angle that a roof can be is 90 degrees, which is exactly perfectly straight. 90 degrees, right? So when you get the fraction now, the fraction you work it out, anything you end up with would be that amount of 90 degrees. So if you get the angle, the fraction half would represent half of 90. So therefore half of 90 is 45 degrees. So the angle of the roof is 45 degrees. If this was, let's say, 2 out of 6, right? And we do 2 into 2, 1 time 2 into 6, 3. Then we'd have got 1 over 3. And if we have 1 over 3, we'd have to say 1/3 of 90 is what? 30 degrees. So therefore the roof pitch would be 30 degrees. Alright, so here, so this is a wall, this is a overhang. So from the wall to the edge of the roof is the overhang, which is usually 1 foot 6 inches. But it can be more. This is a overhang from inclined or pitch overhang. This is a wall plate, the board we put on top of the wall. You cut out piece of the rafter, you call that the seed cut of the common rafter. So when you cut the rafter for rest night, up here, so how the rafter meet the ridge board. This is the rise from the top of the wall plate all the way up to the center point of the ridge. And the length of your common rafter is from here to here. So I see you measure your rafter from this point to the center of the center of the rafter. You have the point where you measure. You measure from here to here. Forget this. So basically, half span of the roof, half span of roof or rafter run, and then you have the height, and then basically this gives you what this is. Right? So run and rise can tell you what this should be. So if you have a paper and you scale it down and draw it, and you say you draw this length and you draw this length, then you can basically just draw a line connecting the two of them and tell exactly what length the rafter is. So that's how your roof builder usually can steer ground and cut the rafter them before them and them fit perfectly up there, because you stay up on the ground and work out him run and him rise, then draw one line, come down and measure a line. So usually you don't measure it like how you, because it's big in real life, so you draw a scale version. So let's say you have 12 foot. So instead of use 12 foot, you use like 12 centimeters or 12 inches. So the 1 foot would be represented by 1 inch, and you can draw it on a regular size paper. So the rafter line, this is referred to the pitch, the angle here, so half span, and this is a full span. Gotcha. this represents a verge, detail, and ladder frame. So your barge board out here, so you have different designs for this gable roof, but it's not a closed gable because the wall built all the way up. Sometimes if your wall just stop here and cut off and you have to back it up with board, you call it a boxed up gable or boxed gable or closed gable. Understand? So common rafter, boom, boom, boom. This is your purlin or your under support. We support the rafter them if you have a wide span. Like if you have cover like half of the roof is, then the roof is what? 45 foot or 40 foot and half of it 20. So you use on 2 by 20 to 45 too much. So let's say 30 foot and I use some 16 foot length to cover the roof. So you use a purlin for rest every center so it covers, so you know it's span not so wide, but it have to span. So you'd have 16 foot from here so to here so, and about 15 here so 1 foot overhang, and then you put this in the center there so right at 8 foot. So your cable wall, barge board fixed to the last rafter usually have some this connected to this. Then you have a tilting fillet. This is basically for the ply when you add it, so you give it a little kick off. You plywood gusset, wall plate on top of the wall. We call this the ladder frame and the ridge. Alright, again, this is a hip and valley roof. Hip and valley. But it's not only a hip and valley, it's a hip, valley, and gable. That's 3 different things, features the roof here have. You have a gable end here, so. You have a hip end right here, so. And you have a valley feature. Right? So, valley, gable, hip. You can see how you farm with the palm it up. Now, this design I can tell you it's not Jamaican or Caribbean because they have a chimney in it. So if they have a chimney in it, but in Jamaica sometimes you have a column protruding into a roof or something, whatever it may be, a pole or your stanchion or something, put the electricity pan, but you should have to build the roof around it just the same way. So your common rafters, your valley rafter, boom, common rafter them, your gable end with a ladder frame, and your hip end with the hip rafters, and the power purlin and the right road. Then we have this right here, so we tie the corner, we call it angle tie. You tie the corner of the wall plate them. Hip and gable roof components and terminology. Alright, so ridge, going right round, center point. Hip rafters, purlin, a ladder, common rafters, jack rafters right here, so one hip, angle tie, wall plate, going right around the on top of the wall. Now this roof is basically same thing, giving you some terminologies for the valley, hip end, gable end. Now at the end of the rafter you have the fascia board, and then you have the lay board them put on here so, because these are come down straight and this one will come on top of it, so therefore they put a piece of ply upon it to nail these into, just so you can connect back to this. So them call this the lay board, because you couldn't connect them when you go up in the ear to them when you come down, so them not going to meet perfectly. So basically I use this as a means of connecting them. So you nail the ply upon this and then nail them upon the ply. Alright. This finish. So now we go through the terminologies and name for the parts of the roof. What we can do now, we'll start look on some real roof designs and see if we can decipher them. Yeah, let me see if we find a simple one first. That's more complicated. Alright, so we have some roof plan here. We do print these, but then true, me not find the time to come show you directly, so me say might as well me just do this and show it on this. You can watch it over and over as many times as you need for and truly get it. While if me just show you one time, you don't know when again me will get a chance to show you again. So this is what we call a roof framing and slab plan. So it's ground floor framing plan, right? Roof framing plan. And this basically tell you what the roof then be. Now the front part of the building have a gable roof. So this is a ridge board, this is a fascia board going right around, and then these are your rafters. And the arrow show you which way the roof slope to. So the water flow off the way there, water flow off the way there. And see tell you 50 by 200 fascia board. So 50 millimeters equal to 2 inches, and 200 equal to 50 by 200, 200 equal to 8 inches. So 2 by 8 fascia board. And this is 50 by 150, which is 2 by 6 wall plate bolted. So then we have wall plate on top of the wall. So this represents the wall underneath the roof, all them dash line here. And then this is the roof basically. Ridge board, rafter them coming down. So this is a gable roof. This one is basically an octagonal shape between the wall, because it don't cover the wall, just between the wall. This one is a hip roof on top of this wall. Now, how you know if put this roof is basically after the building build, you go put on the roof. So you don't have to worry about that as the person who build the roof. But as if you are building the building also, then you need to look at the elevations or the actual drawing for the building, so you can tell what the building will look like in a real life, so you know which part the roof will go. But understanding how the roof build, this is a ridge board here, so this is a hip rafter, right? This is a king end, and then you have a fascia board going right around, and these are your common rafters going across. And notice them 2 feet apart. 600 millimeters are 2 feet. Now, if you want to find details, usually these represent the details. So you find them anywhere in the drawing them there. If you find the details of how to actually build the roof, such as your ridge detail and eave detail. And also the specification, as I tell you, go always be placed there. So they tell you exactly what to put there. So this says here, so it's a damp proof membrane atop sand cement screed where wall level changes. So it tell you, say if you put one little membrane, this also water now soak go down in the building, because this is basically one wall on top of the roof. Then you have a next piece, a complicated roof here, so now, which is a hip end. So see one hip here, so hip end with your common rafter them, and then on the end of this one you have the hip rafter, but then come down here, so and go back in our ridge again, then come down in our next octagonal hip to go around the wall here, because here the wall shape, so the roof have to follow the wall. So on every edge you have a boom, boom. You have one nice center coming up to the ridge, and you have boom, boom. And then you usually have notes to tell you what to do. So hip roof above living room should be covered with translucent sheeting. Meaning translucent meaning sunlight can shine through it. So it basically give you instructions. So that's a one. And this is what your roof look like. Now this one here would be a gable roof above the parking place for the car. Now the floor plan will tell you what all of this be, but this is just the roof plan. And then this roof here, so see it here, so again. So this is basically a layout for the roof and tell you what is there. Because there was an atrium on top of the roof where go up higher than the actual ceiling, so sunlight can shine, come down at the building. You have some big window up there. And a building drawing, you usually find the electrical and drainage plan beside the roof plan or close to the roof plan. So this is electrical and drainage. Alright, let me see if we can find. So details now are usually these. So them tell you, this now tell you exactly what material you use, how you connect the parts them, how you connect the roof. Understand? So this is a building block, the belt beam, and then I put the board on top of the belt beam. This is a backup board inside, backup board outside, and this is your guttering. So them now no fascia board because them cut out the rafter, them have a little pattern. So no fascia board not there, so basically. And so instead of because them no fascia board and then no soffit, like them no cover up the eave and put no soffit there, them basically use backup board to prevent things from coming. And this is a eave detail. So eave detail, say a lean to detail to show you how you connect to the wall. Eave. Alright. The type of roof on the building, you know. Zoom up a little bit. So based on what we're looking at here, we can tell that the roof here is a lean-to roof, but it's a two-sided lean-to roof. You notice it don't have no ridge board, nowhere in it. So you can tell say it's a lean-to roof from here, so leaning to the direction where water run off the way there, and then one below it. So this one up on top and the one there below. It's a lean-to roof. I don't know that plan. What the plan? Or see it here. So you can tell say it's a lean-to roof. This look like Mr. Carty drawing. Let me see. Yeah man, Carty. Let me try to open up the file so I can show you what it look like in a real life. So what the roof here would look like in a real life. So work. Carty. So Carty. Picture. That's on plug in. So this roof basically look like this. So it's two shed roof, but one higher and one. So therefore that's how I look on this. See it here. So two shed roof, this one a big one we're high up and this is a low one. So this is just basically common rafter go cross from wall plate to wall plate. And common rafter go flat from wall plate to wall plate. Now in this it's a use 50 by 150 rafter, which is 2 by 6, 150 millimeters 6 inches, so 2 by 6, and it says 50 by 150, right? 50 by 150 rafters at 600 OC. So O/C mean uncentered, or from center to center. And this is the wall plate, so it's a 50 by 150 or 2 by 6 wall plate. So WPP mean vulvanized pitch pine, which is the pine wood where treated pine wood we usually buy hardware. Tell us 2 foot by 2 foot, tell us direction the roof sloping. So you know so the roof no go that way you go from so to so. So your water flow from up here so to down there, so that's why I represent. And these usually represent the section for your roof. Tell us wall plate height is 10 foot to 12 foot. So down here so it's 10 foot and it go up to 12 foot. Basically, this is the type of roof that this is. See it here again, high roof and lower roof. Yeah, so this one now. This here are the same design concept, but the only thing is me take off the roof them. So see roof plan here, right? This our complicated hip roof. So hip end here, so then common rafter, and then hip end here, but the hip end also extend with a valley here, and the hip end extend into an octagonal end, right? Because we have an octagonal shape on the building. So the hip comes so say main rafter, ridge board, hip, then you put up a rafter them, hip, then you connect this here, so Now this will look like a ladder here, so is basically a girder. Anyway, you have a complicated joint, usually add more than one rafter to make it strong. And the same thing here, so because the roof big and span a long period of time, so at the end we just put two rafters close together, tie them up, so them hold more strength. We call this a girder. Right, so we put two rafters close together and bond them with piece. Put piece like leather. And it tells us a 50 by 150 rafter, 600 on center. So therefore, you know, so the ridge board and them thick black one here would have be 8 inches rather than 6 inches. So if they are 6 inches, this will be 8 or 10 inches. Alright. These roof now is a lean to roof. So I tell us that this is a lean to roof 1. But where this belong? This belong here, so. Because you notice, because I don't want to confuse the person who read the roof plan or how I build it, what I do is, instead of having the roof here and here and here and have them overlap, we take them off of here, so put here, so, and tell us that this is a lean to roof 1, so lean to roof 1 go here, this is a lean to roof 2, lean to roof go to here. So basically 2 shed roof, just like I'm show you in the previous one, like this, same way them 2 of them work out. Find that one here, it's like this. So here it says wall extends 8 feet above belt beam with lean to roof 1 attached to wall at 3 foot above belt beam and lean to roof 2 attached atop the 5 foot space between roof 1 and roof 2 will house clerestory windows through which conveys natural light. So clerestory windows are basically them type of window. So window where light pass through for going high building on top of your roof. Alright, so basically this is a roof plan. As I say, brighter lines are the main rafters, your ridge, hip, then the next one them are jack rafter and common rafter. So you usually can use the information on the roof to figure it out. Say 2 foot apart from center of the roof rafter to the center next rafter. So you usually mark them off by your ridge board. Alright. These are your details now. We tell you how to build the roof. So ridge detail, tell you how your ridge connect, tell you about your materials, what you're supposed to use. So in this one you use decra, shake. So your rafter connect to your ridge board like this. You have a little space. The reason why your rafter, your ridge board usually bigger and thicker is because you don't want this to hang off on there, so but this will hang down a little bit more. So you make this wider than this. And then this use button and some shingle, so decra shingles. So detail usually give you the specification about the materials we have used. So you look for, usually when you look for that, you look for your ridge detail, usually depend on the roof plan. Your ridge detail, your lean to or eave detail, and your valley detail if you need it. So eave detail tell you how the end part of the roof will look, whether you have to cut here so a certain way, or what you're supposed to use the on it, hurricane strap and them thing there. You understand? So it give you basic your J bolt to hold on your wall plate. Many times people don't use no J bolt, them just pull up the steel and bend it over it. But this basically I tell you how to build a roof. Them things I work with, the details and the layout from here. So this give you the basic shape and feature of the roof, and them detail here tell you how to put it together. So this is R detail or ridge detail, and this is valley detail. So in your valley, you like that. So the valley is like the opposite of the ridge. I go look at one more. This one is a big building. So the building there basically is a two house in one. So it's like a townhouse or a multi-family dwelling, right? So one apartment of one house over here, so one house over here, and two them share by this wall, this shear wall here. So basically this roof is a big roof that covers both of them, right? You have the details as usual. And then you have the roof framing. So when you have frame a roof like this, you have to look on it and understand the features. So you have a hip here, so right? You have a gable here, so You have a gable here, so hip here, a valley here, because the gable go into the hip, because it's a valley, one valley, two valley, valley, valley. You have hip, hip, gable. Then you have hip, you have hip, hip, hip. This one valley right here, so anytime the building make a little turn like that, you usually get a valley. Because this is a building, a roof connecting to a next roof. So to make you understand truly what this roof look like, I have to go up in the drawing. I'm up in the drawing here now. So this is Anne-Marie, Jacati, Anne-Marie. So yeah, if you understand how the roof shape and how it look, you usually use the elevations. So your rear, back elevation, front elevation, right elevation, left elevation, you use these. And sometimes, and every drawing go have this, because sometimes people can't afford to pay for the full thing, right? So most time, every drawing go have this though. So usually I use these to tell you exactly how the roof go shape and how you go make it up. Alright, so these help you fish understand how we look. So the front tell us it's a gable, hip, 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 hip. Only one gable independent. Gable in, the rest side you use farm without. Try open the drawing, but take a while. So you use the elevations, figure out what the roof actually I tell you to build. Like this might be complicated, but to get a clearer understanding of it, I use this. So all of them are in the drawing. So if you get the full drawing, not just the roof plan like this, you can easily interpret how the roof go build up. So usually start from the highest point and work your way down. Or even start from here, so any point. I'm not sure how people build roof deal with it, but I think they usually start from the highest point to come down. Alright, let me see if we can find the building now. So elevation tell you about the roof. Look on the front, the side, and tell you how to build the roof them. Based on that. The roof plan. Alright, so the roof plan I mentioned you earlier is basically the building here. So you look on the elevation them show you what type of roof it is and how you must build it. Left, show us here so the roof look. Right, show you say gable end, hip, all that type roof. So basically the elevation show you how to build the roof them. The sectioning also can show you some details. This is called the sectional drawing. We cut the building so you can look into it and see what going on inside of it. That also tell you how to frame the roof. See all of them drawing here, this we use to help you with this one. It is in color now because them depend on different layers, but when me plot them or if I print them are black and white, them will come in or blue based on if I use blue printer or regular printer. Alright. So there's for a person like who do drawing, them can do this. Draw the roof, then click object viewer, and basically you can see what the roof will look like and interact with it. So you see the basic standings, the basic features of the roof. You can interact with it just by looking at it, right? So you have a valley here, hip end, your hip rafter, ridge again, your hip rafter here, so one little short ridge rafter will come down to this one. So here, so you will have a one rafter come straight down, hip, turn it around, hip, valley, hip. So this is basically hip and valley. This one has a no gable end upon this. So hip same way this one. This one hip same way. See there? It's a hip roof that meets right up here, so in a peak, and then have a little projection out here. So you have two valley, and the next hip. Just to cover up a little part of the wall. And it used to cover up the little part of the wall here. So now this roof, because I draw the one here in the middle, if you want to know what this stand for, you look on the elevation. You look on the elevation, you see, so the one here in the middle is this tall one. The one over here, so, is this one. And this one over here, so, is this one, right? Now, this is this. This is where this draw it. Design it like this. So, in the middle, you have one piece of board, and everything come up to it. Boom, 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 boom. You hip after them, come meet like this, so. And the meat, you cut it like a little peak, so you point it and go in there, so. Same thing for here, so. This one, same thing, hip. Setup, same kind of setup. And this here is the roof for here, so. So, yeah, basically this is one flat roof around here, so. So these represent the rafters, and the middle one, them are your main members. So you interpret the drawing by using the roof framing plan plus your elevation them plus your floor plan or whatever the information upon the full working drawing we can use, because a working drawing consists of everything from your side plan, your elevations, your electrical, everything. So you use this plan, these ones, and the roofing one plus probably this one. All three of them are used to interpret what the roofer say and how you go and determine how you go build it. I think that's where I'm going to stop right now. Anything else you want to know, probably specific, you can probably link me one away and we'll discuss it further. But for right now, I think this is supposed to give you a good start, or is a good basis to start from. So this roof is this. All the measurement and everything we need is on it. So you just read it and you know you're good to go.